Guys, it's the Unsmooth Criminal. I'm back. Oh, that's just habit for me to say, but I'm not really back. I'm here. Not dying anytime soon. Not leaving. Definitely not leaving. I love doing this for you guys. So close to 1,000. I'm 42 away from the last time I checked. So close to 1,000. Once I hit 1,000, I'm planning a stream that Saturday. So let's get into this one. So, if you guys probably saw the title, what if female Deku was a sparrow? Not the sparrow you're thinking of. Because she's got a jar of dirt. Her quirk is the best and worst. So anything she does, she's the best, but she acts like she's the worst. At anything she does. Would that be running, skydiving, being a freaking pirate? So, if she could take a test and correctly calculate her IQ, it would be 15 times what Nezu's IQ is, but she doesn't use all of it on the same task. So technically, when she talks, she acts stupider than Mineta and Kaminari when they're not in stupid mode. Or is that when they're in stupid mode? But she is known as Jack because her name is Jackie. And her parents left her to fend for herself. Her father left her at an orphanage. Her mother died on childbirth. So she does still get a visit every 2 years from her father. Him just checking up on her. She knows exactly what he does. He's a thief. And when she's 4, her quirk activates. And she thinks of what she wants the most. And all of a sudden, something appears in her pocket. And she pulls it out, and it's a compass that can't point north. This compass points in the direction of what she wants the most. And at that time, she wanted food. So she followed where the compass was pointing because she was curious. And it led her to the kitchen of the orphanage and into the pantry. And she picked out some food, some snacks that she could have without getting in trouble. So she had those, and then she was looking at it, and she didn't know what she wanted now. But the compass was still pointing at something. It was still pointing in a direction. So she's like, okay, I don't know. And she was taken to a junkyard, and what she didn't know she wanted was she wanted something to call her own, because at the orphanage, everything is shared with everybody. If they knew about this compass, she's going to have to share it, but she doesn't want to. So she thought of something that she could have as her own. And she saw this old flintlock looking pistol. And yes, it's going to be a semi-flintlock. And she's like, cool. So she takes it back to the orphanage and hides it. She hides it in this big mason jar that she was given by her father for one year, and she just filled it with dirt so she could keep it. because no one wants to empty it and get yelled at by her because she wanted to hold dirt in it. So every time that everybody goes to sleep, because she's one of the oldest people there, she's 10, she takes the pistol out, she dusts it off, and starts tinkering with it. And if anybody knows the game Dishonored, that's what the flintlock pistol is going to look like. So after a year or two, the flintlock pistol's complete, and it's belt fed. It has a 4-round belt, and the belts are a little chunky, but they're easily disposed of, and they're biodegradable. She doesn't know how she made it, she just knows she made it. So she just walks around town one day, and she's flipping it around on her finger, and then she put it in a homemade holster that she had in her belt. And she has some baggy kind of pants on that she uses for a belt, because the orphanage can't get normal clothes. They have to get older clothes that are very, very, very old. So this is past the time where Victorian style clothes were all the hype in Japan. So the clothes are more Victorian style, and she's like, I could look like a pirate. So she got everything ready. Oh, damn it. She got everything ready and started to get her outfit together. And she's like, I'm missing something. She finds a bandana and wraps it around her head. And she's like, I'm still missing something. Don't know what it is, but I'm missing something. I really want that one thing. And whenever she thinks of a pirate, she thinks of a pirate with a pirate hat on. And she's like, I need a pirate hat. I need a pirate hat. I need a tough pirate hat that can't be easily destroyed. So she sees a ad on a newspaper that says that they'll make any support gear and try to figure out a way to do it with your specific description if you have a challenge for them. And it'll only cost a measly amount of money to just buy the materials. So she inputs her request for a indestructible, and emphasis on indestructible, pirate hat. And they read this request and they're like, why a pirate hat? So like, hey, the challenge of an indestructible is kind of cool. So we skip 2 years. So she's 12 and she's been robbing people on the side of the road. And she doesn't go after normal people. She goes after criminals that she knows are criminals. She goes after them and she robs them of all their money. Normally they got like 10, 20, maybe $100 on them. So she saved up roughly, since she's been doing this since she was 10 to pay for the hat. She's been doing it for roughly, or no, she's gotten roughly $2,000 saved up. And she's known as the pirate of the road pirates. And she's like, I like that name. I'm a pirate. And finally, her hat comes in. And it looks all rustic and beaten up, and there's a note saying that they've done thorough tests on this specific hat, and it's only worn down a tiny bit over the last year of them testing, and the payment required is $13,000. And she sees this and goes, oh crap. And on the rest of the letter it says, we know you are at an orphanage, we know your money's tight, so pay us over the time of 20 years. And she goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. So she puts on her hat, and it looks perfect on her. She's gotten the pirate getup on. She's got her perfect flintlock that she's nicknamed the Black Pearl, and she's got her compass at her side at all times. And she has a bag on her as well, a little satchel that she always keeps behind her, and it keeps a little mason jar of dirt. And she just normally does that to distract the heroes that come to talk to her about carrying a firearm and how things are not supposed to be, or how you're not supposed to steal. And she just goes, so you've come to bargain, eh? Well, I got a jar of dirt. And she distracts them with just singing a stupid song about the jar of dirt. And they're like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want to be here anymore. And they just leave. So every time she's so smart and so stupid at the same time, everybody's like, yeah, there's no reason to actually capture her because we can't, A, and B, well, she'll just get out. And she turns 14 after another 2 years, and she's given the $2,000 to the people, and they just send her invoice for the rest of the money. And they say there's a 1% interest rate on this money. And she goes, okay. And she sends another 2,000. Every 2 years, she's going to be sending 1,000. So, she's now not in debt by $3,652 USD, not yen. And every time that she gets attacked, it's either her hat gets flung off of her head or her pistol gets dropped. And her pistol is made out of steel. So she's like, screw it. I'm done with this. I'm going to an old-fashioned flintlock. So she hangs up the pearl. That's important to know. Because she lives at her own house now. She lives at her own house. And she makes enough money to keep this house. And she calls it her home, and that it's her captain's quarters. And she hasn't been going to school this entire time. So she has rough language skills. She has no math skills. She has no hygiene at all. Except for one time, or once a week in the shower. That's pretty much it. So she looks like a old-fashioned pirate. And everybody sees her on the street being like, who the hell is dressing up as a pirate? And she has a reputation as Captain Jack. And everybody sees her and calls her Captain Jack because she acts like a pirate captain and acts stupid at the same time. So they call her Captain Jack because she's a stupid pirate to them. But in reality, she's a really hated criminal from the villain side. She's more of a vigilante than criminal. So on her 15th birthday, she's out parading around as Captain Jack, and she runs into Eraserhead. And Eraserhead sees her, and he's like, are you the pirate captain around these parts? And she goes, I don't know. Look for Jackie Sparrow. And he goes, I honestly don't know. I'm looking for someone in a captain's outfit. And she goes, oh, I think I'm the only pirate on these streets, so maybe. And he goes, well, I have a proposition for you. And she goes, so you want to bargain, eh? I got a jar of dirt. And he goes, God damn it. No, it's not for the jar of dirt. It's for you. And she goes, why? And he goes, well, since you technically are doing illegal actions by holding criminals at gunpoint. She goes, whoa, I don't hold them at gunpoint. I hold them at unloaded gunpoint. And he goes, so the gun isn't loaded? And she goes, yeah. I don't have enough money to buy more than one bullet. So I keep that on my person at all times. And he goes, wow. And she goes, don't worry. I haven't done any bodily harm to anybody. And by this time, she's bought a sword. So she has a cutlass on the side of her hip. And he goes, so you're the 20th century or 21st century pirate? And she goes, maybe. And he goes, okay. And he's trying to have an intelligent conversation with her. And she's at times just babbling on about some weird words. And Nezu finally shows up, because they're pretty much outside of UA now. Because Aizawa has slowly been walking her towards UA. And trying to get her into UA so they can probably cancel her quirk. Once she walks into UA, Nezu approaches her and goes, Captain Jack Sparrow. And she goes, And he goes, it is a pleasure to meet you. And she goes, there's a talking rat. Am I the only one freaked out here? And he goes, well, first off, I'm a chimera. Not a rat, nor a mouse, nor a rodent. I'm a chimera. And she goes, you look like a rat. No. You look like a rat mixed with a mouse mixed with a human. That's what you look like. And he goes, okay then. And he starts speaking intelligently to her. And she goes, whoa. Small words, please. And she's understanding the entire thing. So she just wants to make it look and sound like she's dumb. And he goes, okay. And he starts rephrasing it in smaller words. And she goes, no. And she just walks away. And before she walked out of UA, the security measures for UA slam shut. Like there was an intruder, but they're just trying to keep her in. And she goes, oh, come on. And Aizawa goes, there's one thing that you shall never do. And she goes, I'm just going to follow my compass. And she looks at her compass, and Aizawa sees the compass and goes, it doesn't point north. And she goes, I know. And she walks towards a bush, and Nezu's like, what is she doing? And he goes, I don't know. And she looks behind the bush and flicks a little lever that she sees. And the defenses turn off. And she walks out and goes, bye. And just walks away. And they're like, what the hell? So, Nezu sends out an APB on her. Now, Masa one day is walking by his home and hears a villain laughing, and he runs over to see what's going on. And he sees Jack bloodied and banged up from this person, and she has a sword in her hand. And she has the pistol in her other hand. And this isn't just any old villain. This is all for one. And he goes, you damn pirate. And she goes, I've been damned so many times. I'm probably going straight to hell once I pass out. And he goes, the hell are you? And she goes, I'm the luckiest and smartest and the dumbest person and the unluckiest person possible in the world. And he goes, I just wanted your quirk. And she goes, well, my quirk isn't technically a quirk. It's just more of a mutation. And she's explaining this in highly educated words. And she goes, what was I just talking about? And now Masa is hearing this entire conversation, but he's hiding behind a wall. And she goes, I want to bet you something. And he goes, okay, what do you bet? And she goes, my compass, which holds the key to my quirk, for your quirk. And if I win, I get your quirk. If you win, you get mine. And he goes, okay. And he doesn't know why, but he's answering okay. He doesn't know why at all. And he goes, and he asks, what game? And she goes, craps. And he doesn't know how to play craps at all. And she goes, oh, don't worry. I can teach you how to play craps. So all of a sudden, a giant table, just big enough for them both to play craps, appears out of nowhere in two chairs. Two wooden, old-fashioned style chairs that you'd see in the lower deck of a pirate ship. Those kind of chairs. And 2 cups and 2 sets of dice summoned into these cups. And now Masa sees this entire thing now. And she goes, well, hey cop, come here. And he goes, and she goes, yes, you, the one that's behind the wall currently, you are going to be the referee for this. And he goes, okay. He steps out and he gets a book in his hand. And he sees it and he goes, what? And he sees a quill appear in his other hand. And she goes, you place down what we have under our cups and you'll say if we win or not. And he goes, okay. So she casts hers, looks at hers, and he looks at them. And I know this is not how you actually play craps, but he looks at them, he writes them down. And then All for One looks at his, and now Masa writes them down. And she goes, since you're the newbie, you get to try first. And he goes, sure. Yeah, this is gonna be fun, what I'm doing right now. So he guesses and she counters with another guess, and now Masa sees that she's perfectly on the money. And he sees it and goes, how the hell is she getting these? And All for One, seeing the poker face on Naomasa and Jack, looks at his and guesses. And she goes, well, I know you're lying. And reveals hers. And he reveals his, and he goes, damn, you won. And so he walks over, unintentionally places his hand on her head and gives her a quirk. And she goes, thanks for doing business with you. Now, if you don't mind, I'll take my leave. And she looks at her compass and goes, whoo. Thanks for the warp quirk, by the way. And she just waves her hand and walks to the portal. And he goes, what? Excuse me? So in this timeline, Kurogiri has not been made yet. He does have teleportation quirks and warp quirks, but he has not made Kurogiri yet. So, it's like, what the hell just happened? Now Moss is like, and he sees the quill just disappear, the book disappear, the chairs, then the table disappear pretty much all at the same time, one after another. And he's like, okay. And she's sitting on the roof of her apartment building, and she's just looking out into the night, and she looks at her compass. And she's bored. And she doesn't know her deepest desire is yet, but she looks at her compass and she sees it pointing to a direction. So she turns in that direction, and she sees in the distance an H. A building that looks like an H. And she goes, well, looks like I'm waiting till then. And so she's like, I want to get some more quirks before I leave and go to there. My deepest desire is that direction. But I want to get some more quirks till then. So I'll bet the teleportation quirk that I have. So every time that she meets a villain, she gives them a choice. Either fight, lose their money, or bet, lose their money and quirk, or get her quirk. Both of her quirks. And they hear quirks and they're like, we'll bet everything. And she goes, okay. One condition. If you lose everything, you must send yourself to prison and not come out till your sentence is over. And they go, sure. And some random civilian finds a book and quill and on the ground. And they pick it up, they're wondering what it is, and they, on instinct, walk over to the game. And they keep track. They're the referee. Every single time. And these civilians, when they're done with the encounter, forget all about the encounter. Except for Naumasa. He never forgot. So he told All Might all about this deal that they had between, he knew what All for One looked like, and this random person that looked like a pirate. So we go 1 year into the future, and it's the exams. Or no, it's the training arc. And she finally is like, might as well sneak into school and learn some stuff. She almost walks onto campus when she hears an explosion down the street. And she's gotten so many quirks that she barely knows what she has. She knows she has a portal quirk that she uses to get around town easily. She has a strength quirk. She has a agility quirk. She has a dexterity quirk. And she has a zoom quirk. Like May's, but not exactly like May's. She can zoom and change her eyes into different shapes. So she's like, what about cat eyes? So she has cat eyes. Cat-like eyes. And she runs over to the, or no, not runs, but teleports over to the explosion. And she sees a random boy. No, not boy. A girl in the middle of this, and she's freaking out. And this hero is yelling at the villain to put the kid down, and the villain won't get hurt. And the villain's laughing. It's the sludge villain, by the way. And Bakugo is not in this one. Well, he's not actually fully in this one. He's taking the place of Death Arms. So he actually does something, and Jack sees that this hero is going to hurt the girl before this girl can actually get a breath of air. So she warps her hand in, grabs the girl's shirt, and pulls her through a gate. And right as the explosion comes and almost hits the portal. Portal closes, and the villain gets hit with the entire explosion. He never saw a single thing. It happened too fast. And May, because it's May Hatsume in the... So it's freaking out, like, what happened to me? What happened to me? And Jack just walks up and goes, damn. And just walks away. And May's like, oh, what just happened? And May's quirk's just a tiny bit different in this one. She can zoom in, but when she zooms in, she can see the name and vitality, or the vitals of a person. So as Jack is leaving, she zooms in and sees Jackie Sparrow. She goes, who the hell? So she goes on her way. She goes to the support course after the 10 months and submits some of her inventions. And she sees someone familiar walk in with a normal tank top shirt and blue jeans. She walks in and places the flintlock on the podium, and she has her hair slicked back so no one can tell the difference between her and Captain Jack. So no one can see who she really is. Her teeth are pearly white. Her eyes are blue instead of the gold that she normally has. Or no, her eyes aren't normally gold. They're normally blue, but she put them as gold for right this second, so no one can facially recognize her. And she put the flintlock on the podium, and she goes, "There you go. Well, I gotta get to the other one. See you guys later." And she walks out. And Parlor's like, "What does she mean, other one?" And he sees her name, Jackie Sparrow, and he goes, "Okay, so, let me look." And he looks up her name in the database, and it says that she's going for support and hero course. And he goes, "Okay, then." When she walks into the exam room, she's not wearing what she wore in the sport course, because she changes her mentality with her clothes. She changed into her pirate outfit. She walked in, she had her flintlock in her belt, she had her cutlass to her side, she had her satchel on her back, she had her captain's hat on, and she sat down. And Aizawa immediately recognized her and is like, "What the hell's going on?" And she looks at the compass, and it points to the table in the front. And so she walks up to the table in the front, and she sees the script that that Mike is supposed to read off of. So she reads the script, and she's like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And I know Jack Sparrow isn't that bright in the movie, but I'm making her so intelligent that she acts stupid. So she's like, okay. And she just goes back to her seat, puts her feet up on her desk, because she has the old leather boots on. She's got pretty much the traditional pirate getup. You could basically see her in a Captain Jack's outfit, sitting in this seat. And she puts her boots up, and she puts her hat over her face, and she passes out. And Aizawa sees this, and he starts to chuckle to himself. So Mike hands out the papers and hands out the exam. And on one of the exam, it says Jack Sparrow. Test is done. Just put it on my desk. And he sees exactly who this test is supposed to go to. She doesn't put Jackie on anything. She put Jack on most things. So everybody thinks of her as a male character. But her actual gender is female. Everybody thinks that she's a male. Her attitude, her intelligence, her strength, her agility, everything points to her being a male. She's just hiding that she's a female. So the test is over and they're required to turn their tests in, and she finally wakes up and falls off her chair. And she starts leaving before Mike can give the speech of what to do at the practical exams. And Mike isn't going to stop her, but Ida stops and goes, "Hey, you, the one that smells of dead fish." And she looks at him and goes, "What?" And he goes, and he's a little scared of her, and he goes, "It's very disrespectful to leave in the middle of an explanation." And she goes, "Well, I came here early and read the rules before you guys got here, so screw off." And she just walks out, not even caring. And Aizawa hears that she read the rules. And he goes, "No, she didn't. She read the script. She didn't read the rules. The script left off 50% of what's going to happen. So she's underprepared." And he's thinking he's underprepared. And Nezu goes, "Keep an eye on that one." And he goes, "Why?" And Nezu goes, "That person's smarter than they let off." And he goes, "How?" And Nezu says, "Well, they read the script and they know the entire rules. They even got the hidden theme for the written test down." And he shows Aizawa the papers and sees the hidden theme answered on the top of the test. And he reads this: "True heroes aren't heroes. Heroes go for money and fame. True heroes go to be in the shadows and do what is right." And he read this and goes, "What the hell is she?" And he goes, "I don't know." So we go back to Jack in front of the exams, and she's like, "I'm tired again." So she leans up against the doors, right where the split is, and Mike says, "Is 10," and starts opening the doors. The doors open just enough to let her fall down, and she starts rolling backwards. And everybody's like, "What the hell is she doing?" And she finally gets up and on her feet, and she pulls out her cutlass. And it looks like there's a trigger. If you've ever seen the ODM gear from Attack on Titan, it has the top trigger. That's it. And she presses it, and the blade looks like it's starting to glow. And she walks up to a robot and slashes it. And it cuts right through the robot. And she goes, "Meh." So she puts it back, and there's no heat coming off of it anymore. And they could see the metal was warped by heat, not by just pure force. So she pulls out her pistol and goes, "Let's see if this works." As she aims it at a few robots, and she fires it. And it didn't fire an actual bullet. No. It fired a explosive, piercing round. So what this bullet does, and this is a fiction bullet, it cannot actually be done in reality because of physics and energy. Duh. Don't know the exact physics behind it. It's speculated that it can't be done no matter what we do. So she shoots it and it goes through 20 different robots, and right where the bullet entered, it blows up. Not inside the robot, on the outside of the robot, blasting the eyes away. So it can't see anymore, so it just deactivates. And they saw that one shot do that much damage. And at this point, Power Loader is trying to take apart the Black Pearl. By the way, the Black Pearl is pitch black. It looks like it's being eroded by a nothingness. And it looks like it could be fired forever and not actually need to reload. And he finally unhooks a pin and her eyes widen. And she looks like she just got pissed off. And May is looking at a Power Loader and goes, I don't think that's a good idea. And he goes, but she just left it here. I'm curious. And all of a sudden there's a sword at his throat going, you do any more to that gun, I decapitate you. And she looks pissed off. And he goes, fine. And he drops his tools and he pushes the pin back in. And she goes, thank you. And she grabs the gun, puts it in the belt holster. Or strap holster, whatever you want to call it. And basically disappears again. And she looked pissed off. And May recognized that pirate. May saw this and goes, oh, what's her name? Jackie Sparrow. And he goes, huh? And she goes, yeah, that pirate's name, Jackie Sparrow. And he goes, what is your quirk? And she goes, well, I have the ability to zoom in and I get to see the vitals of someone and I get to see the true name of somebody. And he goes, damn, you have a strong quirk. She goes, yeah, it's also really good for small things. And he goes, yeah, true. So what's her name again? And she goes, Jackie Sparrow. And he goes, okay. So he taps into the observation room and asks Nezu's permission to observe the pirate. And Nezu says, of course, but she's not on the monitors. And he goes, check again. And he taps in and he locates her and goes, she is on the monitors. So she has a gun behind her in another strap pocket. Normally this pocket's empty. And then she has one in the front. So she pulls that one and she starts pulling the trigger multiple times. And each time she hits something, the entire thing starts to rust away. And I was like, what's going on? And Nezu goes, I think she has a quirked gun. And he goes, what? What? And he goes, yes. I don't know why, but I think that gun is more dangerous than we could ever hope to think of or accomplish of creating. And he goes, well, okay. I need to talk to her later. And she finally empties the belt clip and it falls to the ground and she goes, dang it, I gotta buy more. So she puts it away and she starts cutting things up again with her cutlass. And she's like, this is boring. So she sits on top of her roof and waits and falls asleep. Until she wakes up. Dun dun dun! She woke up. I'm gonna end it there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, hit that like button. But if you guys didn't, sorry. So, talk to you guys later. Bye.